Hey, thanks for coming back to this ongoing discussion, fist fight of words slash battle royale about apologetics and the fruitfulness thereof. Before we get to Dr. J's rebuttal of my last argument, we decided to bring in a ringer. And not just any ringer, a third party who happens to be an atheist. We've invited the gentleman who goes by the online moniker, the Faitheist Atheist, to weigh in on whether or not he thinks Christian apologetics in particular is beneficial to society. So, without further ado, the Faitheist Atheist, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Veracity Hill, for allowing me to join this conversation. Is apologetics beneficial to society? I'm going to say yes, but keep in mind that I'm an atheist, so I don't necessarily want the world to be full of Christians. I have a bias. I have an atheist agenda. My agenda, actually my deepest, wildest wishes as an atheist, is peaceful and productive societies where you can raise your families as healthy as possible. That's my big metric, and I think that would require a pluralistic citizenry with different views, and everyone just kind of understands that each other has different views. If you're going to be peaceful and productive, that means there's going to have to be some standards that you all agree upon, even with your different views. And so obviously some groups that won't agree to that wouldn't be as welcome or would probably be voted out. So I don't think that everyone with any view should just do whatever. Obviously the peaceful and productive societies is my metric, my atheist agenda. So for the Christians who do that sort of thing and who do help with that sort of society, then I'm all for it. And I say yes. I say apologetics can lead to that. And there are plenty of Christians who have those same standards. They'll just say, well, yeah, but that's part of our foundation. That's intrinsically who we are, and we can't help it. Once we become Christians, then we automatically, well, maybe not, they won't say automatically, but intrinsically they become that kind of person once they stay on the path, whether it's sanctification or study or mentoring from other Christians, to which I say, great, that's fine. Some Christians will say that you can't do that unless you become Christian, or if you do, you're borrowing it from Christianity and you don't realize it. And again, I say, okay, great, as long as everyone's doing it, as long as everyone has that peaceful and productive communities metric, and being able to raise your families in those types of communities, then I think it's great. And again, plenty of apologists push for that. And because they push for that, for those cases, I say yes, apologetics can be very beneficial for society. I do understand what Dante is saying in his last couple of videos, where he's talked about the kinds of apologists that are so reason-based, and they kind of keep personal experiences and like falling in love with Jesus at arm's length. And they say, never mind so much how you feel, but just follow the facts. And then from that, you will deduce all the necessary tenets of Christianity. And then after that, you can read the Bible and see that it matches that. I understand that kind of apologetics. It can be attractive, but it could also lead to this very stoic mentality that doesn't really resonate with everybody. I think a lot of Christians, a part of their faith is their experiences, and some of those experiences mean more to them than they would mean to other people. And I just think that's part of history. But I think there are atheists like that. There's one atheist that had this little one-woman show called Letting Go of God, where she said she had this transcendental experience once she let go of the idea of Christianity. And then once she did that, then she felt connected to everyone else, and it helped her get her life together, and she met somebody and fell in love and raised a family. And that was her key moment, was walking away from religion. But notice that she needed to have that transcendental moment to feel connected to everyone else, and suddenly feel like it was part of her obligation to be part of that peaceful and productive metric that I was just talking about. I don't think that Christianity is alone in having this need for these moments that you can feel connected to others. I think that's very personal, and I think it's very important. And believing in a higher power, or believing in a higher thing, even if you don't want to say power, if you want to say atheist, if you're an atheist and you want to say just this higher ideal, And, again, peaceful and productive communities is a very idealistic way of looking at the world. I think that's unavoidable. And I think some of these emotional experiences of connection are really important. So I completely agree with Dante when he says that apologetics can push those away or make people feel like that's not important, and they're extremely important. If I had to push a book that I think Christians and atheists and people of any religion would really like, it's only about a year old now. It's called The Matter of Things with Ian McGilchrist. Basically, he says the same thing. We can't let go of these sensations that we feel. That's a deep part of who we are and how we keep ourselves moving. And this idea of reducing things down to facts and just following the data, that's important. It's important. We have instances where we need to do that, but it's not the way we have to live our whole lives. In fact, one final book that I'll bring up is called The Knowledge Machine. And in The Knowledge Machine, he talks about the history of scientists and building the scientific methodology about sticking to the facts, and no matter what, you have to show a demonstration. And he says, okay, well, first of all, most of those guys were theists, so keep that in mind. And then second of all, this mandatory demonstration metric was important to get to things like satellites and air conditioning. So you had to do that to get to where we are now. In fact, to be able to talk like this on the internet, we needed that kind of mentality. But it's not the only mentality. And the author of the book even says it's unreasonable to live your whole life like that. But you need it, but you can't live your whole life that way. So I absolutely agree with Dante that you can't have an apologetics ministry, or if you do have an apologetics ministry that's only focused on reducible facts, then you're missing something. And then again, obviously, if you're just talking about how you feel and falling in love and all that, then that might not be as helpful either. There's got to be a mix. And I think that many apologists struggle to keep feet on both of those worlds and try to make it work together to a degree. And when they do that, I really appreciate it. As an atheist, I follow a lot of apologists because I think I appreciate what they're trying to do, that they're trying to find some sort of standards for peaceful and productive societies, some ways to help raise your family, and they think that Christianity really helps. And so in that respect, I think that apologetics can be very, very beneficial, and I pick and choose. Now, I think since I'm an atheist, I can admit I pick and choose from the Bible that I like, from passages from the Bible that I like, and I pick and choose apologists that I like. And even from them, if they say something that I don't agree with, I just tune that out and try again next week. I think as an atheist, I can more freely pick and choose maybe than some Christians can. So that's my answer, is that yes, it can be beneficial. I do want to give a couple of warnings in my last couple of minutes here. Warning number one is that propaganda is rampant right now, and the kind of propaganda that sells is more polarizing. It's more like us versus them. It's not always religion or atheism. It can be all kinds of things. But propaganda really seeks to find labels that you like, and then it tries to tie their stuff to your label. And it tries to get you to really dislike other people and dehumanize other people. And that sells. That's very, very rampant right now, and it's doing really, really well. And so a lot of apologists might feel, and for that matter, atheists might feel pressured to compete with that and to do an us versus them thing. So watch out for that. That's warning number one. Warning number two is that I think sometimes apologists or apologetics might get people to become less fervent in believing every single aspect of Christianity. There's so much about critical thinking and so many people who embrace our biases and how our mind can play tricks on us that I think a lot of that information might be leading some Christians to say, okay, well, maybe some of the stuff that I believe might not be exactly true. I don't think it destroys Christianity, but I do think it becomes the kind of Christianity that you might be able to talk about more freely without as much challenges. That might lead to a kind of Christianity that some of you Christians might not be comfortable with. But for me, I kind of like that, but I can see how some other Christians might feel threatened by it. And with that, I will turn it back over to you.